What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another great edition of Symone with the Spizzords. Today, I have a very, very, very special guest with me. We have TV host, podcast host, journalist, and mentor, Cari Champion. Cari, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. Look at you. You look cute.
Thank you. Because I had to get my 2 lights set up because my one light, the sun's down here. So, Cari, first, let the people know how you got into sports. A lot of people on my page know you from SportsCenter, ESPN, all of that. So let them know how you got into sports.
I started off as a local news reporter, and I worked in a lot of different markets. So I worked in my very first news job was in West Virginia. I was a one-man band. I carried a camera and a tripod. I did everything in West Virginia. And that was like in 2000. That's when I graduated. And it was like a really great opportunity for me to just really try to become a reporter. I was playing a reporter for like a year in a very small market, hoping that eventually it would work. Ultimately, I ended up leaving there. And when I felt comfortable enough, I decided to go and work elsewhere back in LA because I was in West Virginia and it was so hard. So I went back to LA and I worked the assignment desk. And if you've ever been inside of a newsroom, the assignment desk is where you get all of the news stories. So local news is, hey, let's call the assignment desk. I want to know if there's any breaking news, or hey, let's call the assignment desk to see if anybody can help us with A, B, C, and D. And that was my job. So the best part of that job is that it taught me how to news gather, meaning it taught me how to understand what's important in that market, that local market, or what news is considered, what the appetite for news is for different reporters, what beats this reporter would work on, whether it be sports or whether they do crime or whether they do the city commissioner's office, whatever it may be. I learned how to strategically pick news stories. So I was assignment editor for a while and I loved it. I really did, but I knew I wanted to be back on camera. So what I call my first real job, where I was out there, no training wheels, figuring it out on my own, was in West Palm Beach, Florida. And that was my first introduction into being in TV and learning how to be a reporter. That was my first opportunity, which made me so happy. And I never looked back because it was just always so much fun. It always was what I wanted to do. I felt alive the very first time I did it.
Amazing. I love to hear it. So how did you get into sports as a fan though? Growing up, your grandmother, you're a West Coast girl. How did you become a sports fan?
Well, yes, exactly. So I grew up in LA. I still am here now. I came back. And my grandmother was a hardcore Laker fan. And I was the only one to go to Laker games with her. And I remember thinking, that's fine because it's time for me to bond with my grandmother. But what she was doing, unbeknownst to me, was teaching me the game because she grew up loving the game. Now, mind you, she's probably 90 some odd years old now, but she grew up in the segregated South and she played basketball in high school, but you could only play with other Black teams and other Black schools. And ever since then, she loved basketball because she's tall. For a woman back then, she was tall. She's like 5'7", 5'8". And she taught me the game. And I remember thinking, oh, I'm going to be a Lakers reporter. Like when I started reporting, I was like, I'll be a Lakers reporter. Makes sense. I'll just cover the Lakers. It's my favorite team. I'll work for, my dreams were to do just like right now, if I was covering the Laker beat, that's all I needed, just to cover the Laker beat. That was it. And that started my love for sports. But as a local news reporter, as you know, you cover everything. You don't cover just one thing, you cover everything. And I covered tennis when I was in West Palm, which helped me love tennis, like the Williams sisters. This is when they were hot. Golf, I covered a lot of golf while I was in West Palm. Tiger was everything in Florida. And so I took that love and I knew eventually I would have to cover it in a way that it was my full-time job, just not local news. But local news helped me cover sports because with local news, when you're in a general assignment reporter, you cover everything. You cover politics, you cover sports, you cover crime. And I became a jack of all trades. But my passion, if I'm being honest with you, was always basketball and tennis. That was just always my passion. And so I got fired in Atlanta. I was working at WGCL channel 46 and they fired me because I had a smart mouth. And I understand why. And it was the best thing that ever happened. Although it was like a phony firing. Like I got fired on a Monday. The city was up in arms because you know how Atlanta is. They were like, I don't know, little black girl for no reason. I ended up getting my job back, but when my contract was over, I left. My contract might have been over 2-3 months later. They were like, why fire her just 3 months before her contract ends? Keep her there. That's stupid. So I leave and I think I have to reinvent myself. What can I do to make me better? And that's when I decided to go take a job at Tennis Channel. And it was probably the smartest decision I made, because in local news, the rumor was I got fired because I was cursing. And back then you couldn't curse and get away with it. And by the way, that wasn't that long ago. That was like 2009. That was like 20 million years ago. It was 2009. And they were like, oh, she cursed in 2009. She could never work. Or it's also, I didn't seem safe. I seemed scary. I seemed risky. I didn't seem like you could control me. I seemed like a very, very dangerous Black woman. And you know, that's the world's scariest thing. And so I got this job at Tennis Channel and I just kicked ass. I put my head down. I did it right. I didn't take no for an answer. I was very diligent about how I interviewed. I became a student of the game. I learned quick. Nowadays, I don't think people try to perfect it. Like, I didn't just want to bring my A game. I wanted to be excellent. And it took time, right? It took reps, because I was really bad when I first started. And then eventually I got to the point and people were like, you got it. Like, you got it. Today, you got it. So when I knew I felt good about myself, I was going to go to ESPN and see if they wanted me to cover tennis. Again, selling myself short, why God has these big dreams for me. And I was like, well, I want to cover tennis, or I want to be a Lakers reporter. And they're like, well, we want you to host First Take. And I was like, that show with Jay Crawford at the time, who was the host. And I was like, they yell too much. You know? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. And then I do the audition and I'm like, oh, I booked it. I said, the only reason I'm not going to get it is if they don't want a Black girl, but I booked it. I killed it. I don't even think twice about it. I killed it. One thing I do know is that there are very rare talents, and this isn't a cocky thing. There's very rare TV talents who are genuinely themselves when they're on television, and they're not, when they're in their groove, they're in their groove. They're not worried about how fine they are. They're not worried about what they wear. And they're listening to the interview to ask questions, appropriate questions. And that's what I would do. And I killed it during the audition. I was like, no one's doing it. I was like, I'm doing it. No one's doing it. Now, fast forward to me getting the job. I get it. I'm surprised, but not really. Because, you know, it's like, if you want someone to do the job, I'm going to do it. I was still nervous though, because I'm sitting next to these big ass heavy hitters at the time, First Take was like the biggest thing on TV. Like, there was no repeat debate shows. It was always Skip and Stephen A. There was nobody doing what they were doing. And they gave the job to a brown-skinned Black girl. Not a mixed chick, not a girl they couldn't tell if she was Black, but a brown-skinned sister. Like, there was no mistaking I was Black. And people were so surprised, but I didn't understand it, because all I cared about was just being great at what I did. I didn't even pay attention to whatever came with it. Nowadays, you guys get so consumed with being famous and having the platform and making sure you know all the stars, and you can tweet this celebrity and tweet that celebrity and be cool and be cool. That wasn't even my thing. I was like, oh. And that's because I grew up in LA. When you grow up in LA, everybody's famous. And by famous, I mean really famous. Like, to me, famous is Beyonce, Jay-Z, Angelina Jolie, and Brad Pitt. Like, that's like George Clooney. Those are the people you see in Starbucks and you're like, oh, they're famous. Then of course, obviously there's a Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson and LeBron James. Like, those people are famous too. They're superstars too, but you didn't care about that then. And branding wasn't as important, although it was just starting to come, because they wanted me to be on social media. And I remember being like, I'm not going on social media. I'm not doing social media. I refuse. I was like, I'm not getting on there. I don't want nobody to tell me that I'm ugly and they don't like my lips. I remember they forced me on First Take to get on social media. I was pissed. They were like, you got to do Instagram. I was like, no. And that's all she wrote. Because once I settled in on that show and then eventually left and went to SportsCenter, I felt like I knew what my purpose was. Not only obviously so happy that I have this opportunity to let brown girls like you see me in this way, but I was just like, this is the way that I use this platform to give back. Many failures, 5 and not, meaning like I made many mistakes on TV, off camera, on camera, saying names wrong, spelling things wrong, joining in conversations that have nothing to do with me. Like, it was just a tough ask, but I learned really quickly, because I was working with the biggest heavy hitters. Skip and Stephen A. don't play that. Like, don't come here stupid, making us look stupid. Be good. And there was no room. No one cared if my feelings were hurt. No one cared if I didn't get it right. Nobody babysat me. They were like, figure it out, see you. Which is why I think when I'm giving advice to you, I'm like, to the point. I'm like, because I can't coddle you, because it's not going to help. if you want to win in this business, if you want to be something in this business. And I also know that I can give you guys all the advice in the world that you want, and you'll decide if you're going to listen. That's what I do know. Like, because I've been giving, I'll speak to them blue in the face, but when I realize you're not listening, I'm done giving you advice. Like, don't ask me if you ain't going, don't waste my time. I'm busy.
Definitely. But like I said, Cari, I love your story. I definitely probably can relay your story 1,000 times. I've heard it so many times. But
what's your grandmother and what about this? And I'm like, oh yeah, my bad. You want the story.
Right, that story, Cari, not that one, that story. But you have me weak because you're right. There's a difference between LA celebrity. Everybody in Atlanta, everybody call everybody a celebrity in Atlanta.
Everyone's a celebrity in Atlanta. Everyone's famous in Atlanta. Everyone is
influencer.
An influencer. Like, I don't feel the need. I'm it's a different generation too. I don't feel the need to tell you everybody I know who I kick it with. Like, if I post something somewhere and it's like an event and there's some really famous people there, I probably won't include them. If they happen to be in the moment, so be it. But I wouldn't do it because it feels corny to me. But that's because that's how, well, people do it all the time. I'm on social media and they're like posting their friends and I'm like, okay, famous people are your friends. Like, my day ones are my day ones. People I went to UCLA with, or obviously, Jamel. It just so happens she's famous, but that's my day one. You know what I mean? Definitely. And these people could be y'all's day ones while you're hanging out with these celebrities, but I don't know. I don't think it makes me cool. I don't think it makes me cool to say that I hang out with so-and-so and I'm friends with this person. I just don't. Like, if me and Oprah was kicking it, yeah, okay.
So Oprah,
like that Oprah, Gail, Ketanji, Brown Jackson, the Supreme Court Justice Jackson. Yes, if I'm kicking it with her, I'm right. Right, but rappers, and nothing's wrong with that, right? Let me think. Rapper, right. Will Smith, maybe, because he used to be a rapper, right? I'm posting that because that's the interview, right? I don't know. I don't know. To me, like even on my podcast, I have a lot of people that are just new and different, not necessarily celebrities. But I also know that when you get people of that caliber, they don't really want to come with the heat. They gonna tell you what they want to tell you. Like any real, true, like super famous person's not coming on your podcast to tell you their deepest, darkest secrets. You know what I mean? Men are a little more comfortable with other men. So when you see these athlete-driven podcasts and they have other athletes on, I get that, right? That makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, no, I don't do that. I just having this, it's funny because, and I'll tell this to you, I literally was just having this conversation with someone that people think is famous. When you were and I was holding the phone, like off the record, and everyone thinks this person, he's famous. And he was like, I was like, are you going to this thing tonight? Right? I was just invited to this thing, in LA. He was like, nah, man, I'm staying out the mix. I'm staying home. It's corny. I don't feel like being, and I was like, yeah, me neither. Like literally, but it's also new for you. It would be new for you. It would be new for somebody who just got in the game. I remember when I first got in the game, I wanted to be everywhere, every ESPYs, every Super Bowl, every this, every that. I wanted to be at every event. I want to see the same people that I didn't like. That's the other thing too. You don't fuck with, French. And so that's who you want to see. And you're like, why am I dying to hang out with these people I don't really like? No. So I think as I've evolved in this game, I've really become more dedicated to the craft and getting better and not being pigeonholed, like not being told all I can do is be the girl who does sports. I can do more than just sports.
Okay, now not all of us, because your culture, about politics and everything, which I love about you, but some of us, all we know is
Yeah, I think, and this is my word for you and everybody else who wants to be a reporter. You need to know a little bit about everything. And if you're interviewing the Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson, you better do your homework. You better bring your A game. You better be excellent. And you can do that. I believe that, Symone. I believe you can do that. I think we all can. And we can't let anybody determine who we are. Now, in the beginning, you may just want to stick in sports. But when you find your voice, as I have, you're like, oh, I have more to say. As a Black woman, I have more to say. As a Black woman who is in this game, who sees or can understand being marginalized, I need to share what I've experienced on a bigger stage to more people. And you can't, no one, I posted this today. I did an interview with one of my other mentees and I posted this today. It was like, I'm standing and creating my own path. There is no clear way. I'm doing it my way. I'm not, back in the day, it used to be like you go to local news and you go to national news and then hopefully you're Oprah or you're Robin Roberts. Or hopefully you get to work on the Today Show. I now know that Today Show is not my vision. I now know that Today Show could not handle who I am as a full woman. And I would have to give up some of myself. And I don't want to do that. I don't. Like, I don't want to give up the fact that my Lakers were trash. I don't want to talk about that, but I guess we have to, don't we?
We have to, Cari. I'm so sorry. I am, Cari. I'm sorry.
I don't think you are.
No, I feel with you because I love LeBron, so that's my only tie to the Lakers. Like, wherever LeBron goes, I root for. Okay. So I'm hurting a little bit with you.
Okay, it's serious. The shit's serious. Like, it's hard. Let's take that part out. It's hard. I don't want to curse. It's hard because I could have told you at the beginning of the season we were going to be awful. I never said it though, because I respect the franchise and I know, and I've talked off the record to LeBron about this. I'm like, man, and I'm playing this game because I am biased. I'm biased. So I will be like, everyone will be like, what's going on? You might be quiet on Twitter, Lakers. I was like, no, you're correct. You're correct. I'm quiet because I'm biased and I'm not going to trash talk them. I'm going to let us figure out this coaching situation. I knew we were going to be trash. Yes, I'm biased. Like, it's just what it is. I'm biased. There you go.
So what do you think the Lakers need to do? If you could make all the decisions, what does the Lakers need to do this offseason?
Well, obviously they're getting rid of Frank Vogel. I thought it was a bad move to hire him in the first place, but I knew they hired him as a layover because he only had a 2-year deal and he was underpaid, 2 or 3 year deal and he was underpaid. So it was just a layover. It was to get me through. Very similar to the presidency, right? Like, everyone's not in love with Biden, but we got to get Trump out of office. So we got to do something, And so I think definitely a new coach. And everyone wants to blame LeBron because they're saying he's coaching. I'm not gonna end there. I have such a more nuanced feeling about LeBron. One, if he's on another team, maybe I will be trash talking him because it's so easy to do. But when he wasn't on the Lakers, I used to talk so bad about him. And I remember one day, Jamel goes, what if he comes and he becomes a Laker? What are you gonna do? And I said, well, I'm going to welcome him with open arms. We miss you. What you doing? And she was like, see, you're not a real fan because you're one of these fair weather fans. And I was like, no, I'm not. He is, I don't care what anybody says. Anybody wants him. And I don't know now at this moment, but most people would want him on their team. Most of the teams in the league would want a LeBron. And I say that because, for instance, I had a conversation with the owner of the Warriors 2 years ago when KD was on the team. And I said, would you ever want LeBron? He goes, no, he's not my kind of player. Like, very arrogant. And I said, easy for you to say. You got KD, you got Steph, you got Clay. Of course you can say it. He's like, no, I wouldn't. I was like, most people, you happen to have 3 of the greatest generational players on your team. So of course you can say that now. But if in fact they weren't on the team, everybody would take LeBron because the probability of you getting a championship is exponentially higher. What happened this year was that we hired a bunch of old people. And I saw this movie before. I was like, I saw this with Karl Malone and Gary Payton. And I remember what this looked like when it was Kobe. I was like, this is not going to work. It's not going to work for various reasons. And I just think that oftentimes as there's a power struggle happening with every team and they got the wrong people in charge. It's just that simple. They got the wrong people in charge. And I'm not saying it's because I don't think Jeannie is really making the decisions. And I think that she's trusting some people that she probably shouldn't trust. But I think what she does do, which is great as a businesswoman, is stay in her lane. She was like, all right, you guys are in charge of picking the players. I'm gonna let y'all pick the players. If y'all mess up, then I'm gonna step in. And so I think this time around, she's gonna be like, okay, all right, I need to be more hands-on. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like, she's one of these people that looks as if she's like, I'm gonna be hands-off until I need to be hands-on. Which is, people forget all the stuff that we went through as a team because it's my team. When Jerry Buss died, everybody was in transition. Everything was in flux. It was a tough time. Kobe was able to save and do and reinvent, but then leadership was different. We thought we were going to remember that time when we had Phil Jackson and then something happened and we didn't have Phil? Remember? Jeannie had signed the deal to get Phil back. I don't think you remember, but we had signed the deal to get Phil back. And then overnight, Phil was not there. And then we had to go I forget who the coach was that had to come behind Phil. But it was like, what's going on? So they've always been struggling. And in my mind, I'm all like, I just wish we had some much more foundational leadership and people who were too many chefs. Just too many chefs. That's all.
Right.
And so they'll figure it out, but too many chefs. Entirely too many chefs.
Well, at least
and you got not LeBron's fault. Go on.
I don't think it's LeBron's fault at all. Like you said, LeBron, to me, I mean, I'm what you call a national TV viewer, meaning I don't live in LA market. Only time I can see him on TV is where they're on ESPN or TNT.
Right.
AD, honestly, in my opinion, was the problem because I don't know. He just didn't seem like he was giving. I know he's hurt a lot, but he just never seemed like he was giving his all, being dominant, playing soft when he could have been. But what do I know about your ladies? But Cari, let me ask you.
AD is a different kind of player. We got what we needed. I'm not even being funny. Like he gave us what we wanted, which was a chip. And I hate how people act like that wasn't just 2 years ago. Like again, the person I was talking to was like, "Y'all Lakers is trash." I was like, "What about your Knicks?"
I'm not a Knicks fan saying that.
I was like, "You guys just love to hate on LeBron. It's so annoying. It's so annoying."
It's so many people that just they don't even have a team. They just don't like LeBron. Like
that is because he has all the women, he has all the money, meaning not that he's out dating women, but he has everything. Women love him, want to be with him, want to hang out with him. And he's handsome and he's rich and he dresses nice and he got a beautiful, beautiful wife. And he has all the things, the American dream. And people are like, how is that? How is it that you created a whole movement? And then they get mad at him because of the comparisons to Jordan. And while he's not Jordan, but he's doing it so differently. He's creating a different legacy in a very different way. And they're all so very like, but not mad at all. Like, I'm like, why not let this man be great? That confused hate.
Jealousy.
Which I used to hate, of course, which I used to have. So I was like, I can identify. I know that I used to hate him.
Yeah, I used to not like LeBron because I used to be a big Kevin Durant fan. And OKC, and then LeBron would be beating.
Yeah.
OKC.
Yeah. I didn't like LeBron. I don't like LeBron because when he came on the scene and he was really doing it, everyone forgot about Kobe, and it made me mad.
I can see that.
I was like, Kobe is the only thing next to Jordan. That's why I was like, Kobe is the only one close to Jordan. That's why I was really mad. You know what I mean? If I'm being honest. And then I was like, all right, welcome to the Lakers.
Oh, you was like, welcome. You was actually
no, he didn't like me in the beginning. He didn't. He was like, you used to be on First Take talking trash about me. You would roll your eyes about me on Sports Center. He was like, I'm all set on you. And I was like, why you holding up old stuff? Why you bringing
right? That was a month ago.
New year to new day.
Exactly. So we got about 4 minutes left. I'm keeping you in the time. I'm an honest woman. So let me ask you some quick questions.
Sure.
So one, what was your highest moment as a Lakers fan?
Oh God, there's so many. There's a couple. The three-peat was one of ours with Shaq and Kobe. I mean, unbelievable times. I hate the Eagles they could have really done something special if they could have learned to get along. That's the biggest lesson that I learned. You got to put your ego away. When you have a good teammate, you gotta let your teammate win. Like when Jamel and I are doing interviews and she cooking, I'm like, you got it, cook, making us look good. So that was a really good time. I also, in recent memory, was really happy when Kobe did it by himself. You know what I mean, with Powell. And I was like, that's my dog. That's my dog. You know, you have to, Kobe highlights our entire life. And then more recent, I knew LeBron was coming to LA and no one knew. I was like, he's coming. And I remember the day that he was gonna make the decision, and it was so gangster how he did it. And I was walking around wearing all my Laker gear. It wasn't even his, because they hadn't created his jersey yet, but I was wearing all my Laker gear. And I was like, book it, we getting a chip within 2 years. And we got it the 2020 year. And that was really good because it felt like the dynasty had been restored. So those were some of my great times. And obviously my saddest time, even to this day, which I don't discuss, is just the loss of Kobe, which the world was feeling. But he was a friend, and he is, he was very selective who he decided to be friendly with. And for him to, after years of watching me on ESPN, finally decide like, all right, I'll fool with you. You know what I mean? Like I saw him at a party once and he was with his wife, Vanessa. And I was like, I'm going to go say hi, but I'm going to talk to Vanessa first. And then I'm going to talk to him because I wanted to be respectful because I'm pretty sure she so tired of women running up on her husband at the time. And he was just nice. And he was like, Cari's a diehard Laker fan. She always rides for us. They give her a hard time, but she's loyal to the soil. And it was really sweet. And he got it. And then ever since then, like we've had opportunities. When I got the opportunity to interview him, he knew how excited I was, and he was trying to help me through the process because I was so nervous. I was like, I was like 2016 and I was doing a sit down and I was like, and then like so excited about it. And he was just like, chill out, it's okay. And then, and then ever since then, I just had moments and moments and moments where I could just interview him and talk to him, and it was always so professional. So I felt like I lost a family member. I even asked athletes today, like people who were really, because he was close with a lot of people. I'll say this. My Kobe story is a lot of people thought he was mean, and a lot of teammates said it was hard to be his teammate because he sometimes didn't need anybody. He'd be like, get out the way, I'm trying to win. By all means necessary, I approve of that behavior. But when he passed, you started to hear all these stories of people he reached out to, people he talked to. I had posted a story recently, some kid was saying how it was just great stories, just great Kobe stories of like just a genuine good guy. And I feel like I can relate to that. I think you wouldn't know this because we don't work together, but in my business, I think people think I'm a little standoffish. I think people think I'm selective, which I am, all of these things. Jamel calls me a porcupine, meaning like if you get past her prickles, that little prickly part of her, if you get to the real meat of it all, she's super sweet. My bark is worse than my bite. And I felt that way about Kobe. We just want to win. We just want to be excellent at all we do, right? And we also want to give back when the people appreciate it and care about it. Like I told you at the beginning of this podcast, I'm not giving you my energy and my time, but free, because time is expensive, right? So there you go. And that's what I liked about him. He was so surprising. I'm sure there are things that I don't know about you that would surprise the world. There are things about people I admire right now that people just don't know. I'm making up something. I hear Jay-Z moves that way. You just don't know what he's doing behind the scenes, who he's helping, who he's building up, who he's trying to, same. You don't know what I'm doing behind the scenes. You can think I'm standoffish and I'm not talking to this person or helping that person, but that's in fact, all I live to do is give back to young brown girls, to women who want to make a difference, who want to use their platform for good. And I want to be excellent and I want to win. I want to win every day. I want to win on TV. I want to win at life. I want to win. I'm super competitive. And it's not by any means necessary because I do it with integrity, but I want to win. So sometimes I have to shut down and focus, get laser focused, and then go after my goals. And that could be including my foundation, which you know of, Brown Girls Dream. And that's my goals to help other girls, young women in this business. It could be get my own TV show, which I now have on CNN Plus with my really good friend Jamel. It could be so many of the different things. As you in the background, do you see that? My friend Bozeman is walking up. So I'm gonna have to end the interview soon.
Really understand.
I don't have time. We about to wrap.
I'm about to wrap it up.
I gotta leave my makeup on. Don't start making me cry.
Okay, let me ask. Okay, just because I'm
last question.
Like you talking about Kobe and like how Kobe was with basketball players, like that's how you're literally like the same thing. But you have somewhere to go, so let's not get emotional. Let me ask. Let me ask the last question. This is a last question. So you've been to a lot of arenas, a lot of stadiums, a lot of games, a lot of different sports. But what is your ultimate game day vibe experience? Like, what is the best game day vibe that you had?
Okay, so we're about to go back to it. Kobe's last game, front row, 60 points. What? 60? What? What? The arena, the feeling, everyone. Look to your right, there go Kanye and Snoop. Look to your left, there go Shaq and whomever. And it was unbelievable. And for me to be able to witness that, he's like Mamba out and drop the mic.
That's crazy.
Crazy!
I can't even imagine.
I can't even remember, but I remember.
That's insane. Especially as a die-hard fan, because it's a lot of people that are there just because.
I told you, he was a friend. It was special. It was a moment. It really was. It was special.
That's insane. I can't even imagine. But Cari, I appreciate you so much for jumping on. I'm not going to interrupt the evening. For me, it's like 8
Because
p.m.
we about to have some rosé. We're going to talk. We're going to catch up. We're going to talk about boys and stuff. We're going to do the girl thing.
I'm going to let you get to it. I don't want to interrupt the girls after
you. Didn't interrupt, and you're more than welcome to put this on. Let me see an edited version of it.
I'm sending it. But guys, thank you so much for joining us. It's another episode of Symone with Sports with Cari Champion. Make sure you like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe. Bye. Hey.